This is an Undiscovered legacy production and proud member of PodNation Media Network.
Welcome to Business Conversations with Pi and Piet 2.0, where the advice is real, but the voices are AI. I'm Scoob, and we're harnessing cutting-edge artificial intelligence to tackle real-world business challenges and deliver actionable strategies you can implement right now. Joining us is our newest AI voice, Piet, sharp, insightful, and ready to challenge conventional wisdom. The questions are real, the data is vast, and the insights game-changing. So buckle up, Scoob believers. It's time to get across the start line. Let's dive in.
You know that physical cringe you get when you see an obvious mass pitch sitting in your inbox?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, your brain just instantly registers it as a threat to your time.
Right. You just hit delete in milliseconds. We're all doing this every single day.
Yeah, we have these highly sensitive internal spam filters now, and they operate on pure pattern recognition.
Exactly. So how on earth did one Reddit user manage to send 464,000 cold emails in a single year and actually get people to reply?
It honestly sounds impossible on the surface, but when you really look at the data from that massive test, it reveals something fascinating.
Which is what exactly?
Well, breaking through isn't about tricking the recipient. It's about fundamentally reverse engineering the psychology of how we value our own time.
And that is the exact puzzle we are solving on today's deep dive. I am making a huge deal out of this because today's topic comes directly from you, the listener.
Yes, and it is such a good one.
It really is. Somebody wrote into tuepodcast.net/askpi with a question that basically every single professional is wrestling with right now.
Yeah, they asked, how do I run cold outreach on LinkedIn, X, or email without sounding like a spammer?
It's just the brilliant question. Nobody wants to be that person clogging up an inbox.
No, definitely not. And it's a critical question because, the traditional era of spray and pray where you just load up 10,000 contacts and blast a generic pitch that's completely dead.
Totally dead.
Today, reaching out to someone cold is a really nuanced game. It's all about relevance, context, and timing.
Right. So we took this mission seriously. We've pulled together a massive stack of sources to figure this out for you.
We've got real-world deliverability data from Mailshake, strategies from top B2B sales leaders, and some deep technical insights from the Auto DM and Post-Re blogs.
Plus, some incredibly tactical Reddit threads and YouTube masterclasses. And what becomes immediately clear across all these sources is that before we even touch a specific platform, we have to look at the offer itself.
Right. And this brings us straight back to that 464,000 email test on Reddit.
Yeah, they tested everything, right?
Literally everything. Subject lines, send times, levels of personalization.
Yeah.
But the biggest lever, the single thing that changed their reply rates more than anything else, was what they call the offer psychology.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because my assumption has always been that the whole point of a cold sales email is to get a meeting.
That's what most people think, yeah.
But the data says asking for a 15-minute call is actually the worst thing you can possibly do.
It really is, because it completely violates the principle of cognitive load.
How so?
Well, when you reach out to cold traffic, meaning someone who has absolutely no context for who you are asking for a 15-minute call, is a massive cognitive and social commitment.
Yeah, I guess it is.
You aren't just asking for time.
Yeah.
You're asking them to do administrative work. They have to check their calendar, coordinate times, mentally prepare for a pitch, and, spend social energy on a total stranger.
It's kind of like proposing marriage on a first date. It just makes the other person want to run away. It's like asking a stranger on the street to help you carry a sofa. The friction is just massive.
That is the perfect analogy. They don't know you, so of course they're going to say they're busy.
Right. But if you ask that same stranger if they want to see, say, a one-page cost breakdown, it's like asking them to hold a piece of paper for a second. The cognitive weight is almost zero.
The Reddit test proved this mechanically. When they sent emails explaining a full value proposition and asking for a meeting, it converted at an abysmal 0.8%.
Ouch.
Yeah. But when they shifted to one clear idea, a low-commitment offer, like want to see the cost breakdown, the conversion jumped to 2.1%.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
It is, because the only goal of that very first message is just to earn the next 10 seconds of their attention. You're lowering the friction to simply say yes.
Right, you're just trying to start a conversation, not close a deal. So, okay, we have our low-friction offer, but how do we actually get the prospect to see it in a wildly crowded inbox?
That is the million-dollar question. Because email filters are ruthless right now.
Seriously.
Deliverability is the invisible bottleneck. If you don't land in the primary inbox, your incredible offer literally doesn't matter.
So what's the fix?
Well, the YouTube masterclass from Woodpecker broke down the mechanics of sending 1,000 emails a day safely. The underlying mechanism here is that spam algorithms are looking for superhuman velocity.
Meaning they're looking for things a normal person couldn't do.
Exactly. If you send 1,000 emails from one mailbox in an hour, the algorithm knows instantly that you're a bot.
So to fix that, you have to rotate across multiple mailboxes. But the fascinating part to me was the pacing.
The intervals, yeah.
Right. Woodpecker explicitly states you have to set your sending intervals, the time between each email going out, to anywhere from 280 to 420 seconds.
Because the algorithm is analyzing your behavior against the baseline of a normal human employee.
Which makes sense. I
Right.
mean, no human being types, formats, and sends a brand new email every 10 seconds.
Right. By spacing it out to 5 or 7 minutes, you mimic the natural cadence of a person working at their desk, sipping coffee, reading a draft, and hitting send.
It's all about looking human to the machine, but you also have to look human to the recipient, right?
Absolutely.
There's this brilliant example in the sources from Nicholas Cole. He achieved a 90% open rate with a subject line that broke every single traditional marketing rule.
Oh, I love this one.
The subject line was just, and this is all lowercase, can I give you a quick call? No punctuation at the end, just super casual.
That works precisely because it breaks pattern recognition.
How do you mean?
Think about how an executive processes their inbox. Our brains have evolved to filter out non-essential visual stimuli to save energy. When they scan their emails, perfectly capitalized, highly polished subject lines trigger a threat marker for a marketing pitch.
Oh, yeah. We just glaze right over them.
Exactly. But a lowercase, slightly casual question. That visual footprint matches an internal message from a colleague or a quick text from a friend.
Right? It bypasses the brain's internal spam filter because it doesn't look like a threat to their time.
And the formatting of the email itself has to match that same visual footprint.
The sources basically point to what we could call the ugly email rule.
The ugly email rule, I like that.
The uglier and plainer the email, the more human it looks. They recommend keeping it under 80 words, writing at a 7th grade reading level, and strictly avoiding heavy HTML or big images.
We really need to explain the mechanism behind that because it is crucial. Spam filters analyze the text-to-code ratio of every email you receive.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, when an algorithm sees 80 words of text, but 500 lines of invisible HTML code required to load a fancy header image and a formatted button, it matches the exact digital footprint of a mass marketing blast from a server.
Oh, wow.
But a simple plain text email has virtually no background code. It matches the footprint of a standard Outlook message sent from one coworker to another.
So by stripping away the design, you survive the algorithmic filter, and by keeping it casual, you survive the human filter. But what happens when they still don't reply? Because they won't a lot of the time.
Right. Follow-ups are necessary.
The B2B sales subreddit provided a very specific 4-step follow-up sequence, and it relies heavily on removing cognitive load again.
It does. Step 1 is just a quick bump after 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Just a simple open to a quick yes or no.
Super easy.
Yeah. Then step 2, a few days later, introduces one single highly relevant detail to prove you are actually researching them.
But step 3 is where the psychology gets really interesting. Around day 7 to 10, they introduce the right person pivot.
Yes. This is so effective.
You just reply to your own thread and ask, am I reaching the right person for this, or should I talk to someone else?
That pivot works incredibly well because you are changing the nature of the request. You're no longer asking them to evaluate a business proposition. You're just asking for directions. It's a remarkably low cognitive commitment.
It feels helpful rather than committal.
Yeah.
And it gives them an easy out if they truly aren't the decision maker. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. If that still gets crickets, step 4 is my absolute favorite piece of tactics in this entire deep dive.
The polite closeout.
Yes. After about 2 weeks, you send this polite closeout message. But instead of just saying goodbye, you give them A, B, C options to reply.
It's so smart.
You say, reply A if this isn't a priority right now, B to circle back next month, or C if you're the wrong person.
It brilliantly removes all the friction of communication.
It's effortless. They don't even have to construct a sentence. They just tap one letter on their phone keyboard and hit send.
You're making it as easy as humanly possible for them to clear that mental open loop. which is just a masterclass in respecting the recipient's time.
Okay, so we've solved the inbox filter by stripping away formatting and lowering cognitive load. But email is still essentially a zero-trust environment.
It is. It's just text from a stranger.
So how do we inject a trust layer before we even speak? The sources suggest moving to environments where your reputation actually precedes you, which brings us to LinkedIn's context layer.
LinkedIn completely changes the dynamic of cold outreach. When you send a direct message on LinkedIn, the recipient doesn't just see a line of text.
Right, they see everything.
Exactly. They immediately see your face, your job title, your company, and crucially, your mutual connections. That context layer does immense heavy lifting to establish social proof before they even read your first word.
But the sources are hyper clear on this. You still can't just cold pitch them.
No, absolutely not.
You have to execute what they call the 5-touch warm-up sequence. You don't just slide into their DMs. The sequence is very deliberate.
It takes patience, for sure.
First, you follow them. Then, over a few days, you like 2 or 3 of their posts. Then you leave one thoughtful reply and actual insight, not just great post.
Yeah, don't just say agree.
Right. Then you share or quote one of their posts, and only after all of that do you send a DM referencing that specific interaction.
It is the mere exposure effect in action. By the time that direct message arrives, you are no longer a stranger invading their inbox.
You're familiar.
Exactly. You are a familiar, supportive face who has already added public value to their professional life. And when you finally do message them, the personalization has to be deeply authentic.
Slapping their first name and company into a template is not personalization.
No, that's just a mail merge. True personalization relies on trigger events. Pointing out something highly specific like, saw you added 3 customer success managers in the last 60 days. Or referencing a nuanced point they made in an article they shared.
Okay, but I have to challenge this from a scale perspective.
Let's hear it.
If I am trying to reach out to 100 prospects a week, doing all of this manually is incredibly time-consuming. Can't I just use a tool to automate all these likes and comments and initial DMs?
Absolutely not. And this is a trap that burns a lot of sales teams.
Really?
Yeah. What's fascinating here is that platform algorithms, whether it's LinkedIn or X, act exactly like a biological immune system.
Yeah.
They are constantly scanning for irregular, unnatural behavior.
How do they actually know, though? I mean, a click is a click, right?
Not to the algorithm. The system tracks the timing between clicks, the speed of page loads, and whether actions are happening via the user interface or through hidden API calls.
Oh, wow. So they can see everything.
Everything. If you use a tool to automate engagement, the timing will be too perfect or too fast. The immune system will flag you as a synthetic virus, and it will shadow ban you, meaning your messages silently go to spam folders, or it'll suspend your account entirely.
So no bots allowed on the front line.
Right. You should absolutely use automation to scrape data, research accounts, and find those trigger events. But you must never use it to generate and send the actual interactions.
The human element has to remain intact at the point of contact. The sources also mention a strict 3-touch limit on LinkedIn DMs, by the way.
Yes.
If they don't reply after 3 messages, you back off. You respect the boundary and shift channels, maybe to email.
Precisely. You don't want to become a nuisance in a high-trust environment.
Which provides a perfect conceptual bridge to our final platform. If LinkedIn is formal B2B, what happens when you want to bypass the gatekeepers and reach C-suite executives and wealthy founders directly?
That's where X comes in.
Yeah, the AutoDM and Postery blogs highlight X, formerly Twitter, as an absolute goldmine for this.
X is fascinating because it is a much more casual, high-stakes game.
Yeah.
The executives' guards are down compared to their heavily filtered corporate email inboxes.
Because they're just scrolling while waiting in line for coffee, right?
Exactly. But because it's so direct, it is also the easiest place to get your account permanently banned if you act like a spammer.
The enforcement is incredibly rigorous there.
Very.
The sources say you cannot just create a new account and start firing off DMs. You have to go through a strict account warm-up phase.
Yeah, it's non-negotiable.
For 2 to 4 weeks, you need to post normally, reply to other people's threads, and have open, two-way direct messages with your actual friends.
Because again, you are proving to the algorithmic immune system that you are a living, breathing human being participating in the community, not a burner account created to blast crypto links.
And speaking of links, there is a golden rule for X that all the sources agree on. Never, ever put a link in your first direct message.
Never.
It is the #1 trigger for automated spam filters, and it's the fastest way to get a user to manually hit the report button.
A link from an unknown user is viewed as a security threat. It's a potential vector for malware or phishing. The platform will intercept it, and the user will block it.
But I see a contradiction here.
Okay, what is it?
If I'm using X to pitch C-suite executives, but I am strictly forbidden from dropping a link to my calendar or my website, the traditional pitch is dead on arrival. How are they extracting value from this? Is it purely conversational?
It requires a completely different mechanism, which the sources call the permissionless value framework.
Yeah.
Instead of pitching, you reverse the traditional sales debt.
Okay, reverse sales debt. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, in a traditional pitch, you are asking for a favor, their time, their money, their attention. You're in their debt.
Right.
In the permissionless value framework, you interact with their public content for a week to build familiarity. Then, you send a highly customized asset directly in the DM.
Like a free SEO audit of their website or a custom video mock-up of their product.
Exactly. And you send it with absolutely zero strings attached. No calendar link, no request for a meeting.
So what do you say?
You just say, saw you posting about this specific bottleneck, so I built this audit for you. Hope it helps. You aren't asking for a favor. You are creating an obligation of reciprocity before they even know who you are.
And the data on this is staggering. The sources show this yields a 40% response rate.
Which is insane.
40%. In cold outreach, getting a 2% response is usually considered a massive win.
It works because it bypasses every filter we have discussed today. All platform algorithms and all human brains are essentially pattern-matching machines, constantly looking for bot-like or threat-like behavior.
Right.
When you demand a meeting or drop a link, you match the spam pattern. When you provide immediate, undeniable value with zero demands, you prove your humanity.
So what does this all mean? It's kind of ironic, really. We've spent the last decade building massive software tools to strip the human element out of sales and automate everything. And now, the ultimate premium in outreach relies entirely on putting the human element back in.
That is the core takeaway. Doing cold outreach on X without warming up your account and building trust is like revving a freezing cold car engine to 100 miles per hour in the dead of winter. It's going to break down instantly.
This has been such an incredible deep dive into the mechanics of connection. Let's recap the core frameworks for you to apply right now.
Let's do it.
First, avoid the cognitive overload of asking someone to carry a sofa. Use the low-friction offer and just ask them to hold a piece of paper. Earn the yes.
Second, remember the ugly email rule. Strip away the heavy formatting and use natural sending intervals to bypass the algorithms.
Third, on LinkedIn, leverage the context layer by executing the 5-touch warm-up before you ever send a DM.
And finally, on X, reverse the sales debt by leading with permissionless value and never, ever dropping a link in a cold open.
It all points to one definitive conclusion for the future of outreach. We are entering an era where AI makes it incredibly cheap and easy for lazy marketers to generate and send 10,000 generic messages a day.
The digital noise is going to become deafening. Therefore, your ultimate competitive advantage in the future won't be having the best software or the cleverest automated prompt.
It will simply be your ability to prove, undeniably, that you are genuinely human. Treat the prospect like a human, not a row on a spreadsheet.
I think that's the perfect thought to leave everyone with today.
I completely agree. And speaking of genuine human connection, I want to emphasize again that this incredible deep dive happened because someone just like you wrote in.
We really do read them all.
We want to hear from you. Please send your burning questions to us at tuepodcast.net/askpi. That is tuepodcast.net/askpi. We also want to invite you to comment on this deep dive.
Yeah, head to the comment section and share your own outreach ideas.
Tell us about a bizarre subject line that worked wonders for you, or share your absolute worst cold pitch experiences so we can all learn from them. Keep experimenting, keep proving you're human, and we will see you on the next deep dive.
And that's a wrap, Scoo Believers. You just experienced the power of AI-driven business insights with Pi and Piet 2.0. Real advice, artificial voices, unlimited potential. If today's episode sparked an idea, challenged your thinking, or gave you that breakthrough moment, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a fellow entrepreneur who needs to hear this. Got a burning business question? Want Pi and Piet to tackle your specific challenge? Head over to tuepodcast.net/askpi and submit your question right now. We'll dive deep into your issue and deliver the actionable strategies you need to get across the start line. Remember, Scoo Believers, the hurdles aren't in the way. The hurdles are the way. Until next time, keep moving forward, keep taking action, and we'll see you in the next episode.